Hey guys, Kyle, the Dead Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for Fire Force Season 2, Episode 21. So right out of the gate, one thing I kind of appreciate about the beginning of this episode is that even though we pretty much know that I think Juggernaut is more than likely going to get out of this okay, one thing I never appreciated about specifically Tamaki's moment of choosing to protect him is that while she has had her moments where she steps up to the plate and had growth as a character, those are also moments that tend to be undercut with the comedic fan service parts of her character, like with things getting a little unneededly sexual sometimes. But this is the first genuine moment that was taken with more or less 100% serious urgency, aside from what happened when Lick like kind of rejoined the group. But aside from that, like the whole her whole moment was treated 100% blatantly serious, and it's something like that looking back, I do have to appreciate. I do have to appreciate Okubo for taking that route, because up to, like, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't until up to this point, honestly, where I was having trouble taking even taking Tamaki seriously as a character, even if she had some serious moments. But the fact that Okubo had finally given her this moment in order to be 100% serious and lay the chips down, the chips down for her, it is a moment I kind of appreciate more now, just for how straight he played it. And even looking at the episode on an aesthetic level, the way David Production had highlighted the beginning of this episode with its dark shadows and red lighting from Tamaki's powers, really get to see a much more ominous vibe. Of course, that in itself also of course, that all in itself was just a precursor to later in the episode when Obi finally arrived with the other with Victor, with the other members of this, with Vulcan and whatnot. And yeah, what more can I say that hasn't been said already when it comes to Obi? The man doesn't need powers in order to fight the White-Clad or anyone who has an Ebola burst. The man's whole body is primed to take on guys who think they're strong, who think they're hot shit and strong enough in order to take on people who think they're hot shit and who think their powers is what make them strong against people who don't. But yeah, just because they have to take on these weaker people supposedly because they have powers. But well, we've learned with Obi, even though the man does not have powers, if you try and take this man head on without a plan, you will get crushed. And the White-Clad who ambushed Tamaki learned that the hard way. Like, seriously, seriously, I know the White-Clad can't hear me, but seriously, if you try to take on Obi, thinking you have powers will win, no. You will not win. If you need an actual fucking plan and an actual fucking strategy in order to take Obi. The man is a fucking tank against power people. That's just a fact. The man's a fucking tank against power people. That's all there is to it. The man doesn't have powers, but he's a fucking tank against your kind. He really fucking is, and I love it. Of course, the other interesting little detail to note in this episode is that despite everything going on around him, Takagi is still taking time to question the work of the Fire Force more and more, even in the heat of battle. And even though the whole meat shield thing was a joke on Hinawa's part, a lot of what he's experiencing is still setting a precedent in Takagi's mind, where while he's starting to gain somewhat, I don't want to say a complete understanding, but he's underneath a lot of Takagi's absolute hatred for the Fire Force, you can also see he's starting to gain at least somewhat of an understanding of why Maki chose to join the Fire Force. But at the same time, what's interfering with him fully understanding as to why Maki had joined the Fire Force is that as her brother, there's a lot more he's having strong disapproval of towards their work. And in the very likely scenario going forward that Maki chooses to rejoin Company 8, Takagi is probably going to have to begrudgingly swallow a lot of his disapproval, because especially even now that especially now that he has experienced what he has. And I do like how we are getting this perspective because it shows there are legitimate reasons for his concern. However, where I tend to fully disagree with him, unfortunately, is that when it comes to when a prince comes to when it comes to Takagi in its Takagi, you can see in this episode and practically the last as well that he seems to have this manufactured visual in his head of what Maki's like, which is further constructed by the fact that he and their father have never witnessed how Maki actually works in the field. And well, and when it comes to Takagi, obviously his fears and being protective of Maki is coming from a good place, the decision still has to be Maki's of what she wants to do with her life and how she wants to live it, even if it is facing down this danger on a regular basis. Like if you try to control Maki, if Takagi's whole idea beyond this point is to basically control Maki's life, she will grow to despise her. Maki will pretty much grow to despise her brother and her own family. And when obviously when the Prince comes to someone like Prince Takagi, who is probably okay with that as long as she's safe, but like Takagi, the problem with Takagi right now is that he's thinking on a much more linear basis. He's not thinking properly of what Maki wants to do, and however he may hate the Fire Force, he needs to learn to respect her. He needs to learn to respect her decision somehow, and the only way is right now in order for him to do that is to see Maki in action. So yeah, like Maki has a lot to prove to her brother right now, unfortunately. And yeah, with this episode, Dr. Giovanni. With this episode, we also get a confrontation. We also get a big reveal through a confrontation between Prince Shinra and Prince Doctor Giovanni, that everything's that like we basically get a huge reveal that basically with the confrontation between these two, that everything that's happened so far, it was all pretty much just a trap to capture Shinra, as well as blow up the whole Nether in order to take the Fire Force and the Tokyo Army with, and to wipe out the Fire Force and the Tokyo Army. And for as blatantly simplistic as this reveal is, it not only fits into the motive of the White-Clad, but it is kind of awkward to admit just how easily the Tokyo Army and the Fire Force had to walk right into this trap without the need for much provocation. And because of that, it also exposes just how easily it is in order to manipulate that pretty much desire that both groups share to stop the White-Clad, because they basically did walk into this whole mess pretty much woefully unprepared in order to face the actual dangers here, and they didn't even consider the idea of a trap. So both sides have suffered unnecessary casualties because of it. So it's one thing where I have to admit that yeah, they're kind of responsible for falling into this trap right now, unfortunately. Of course, what does make it even worse is that for as much of a slimy douchebag as someone like Giovanni is, he also proved in this episode that he does have the means and ability to back up his promise of capturing Shinra, because whatever the fuck kind of experimentation he's done to his body, it's made him even more dangerous than before. And the animation of seeing his body contort and shift is top notch. I mean, the animation in general was very well done in this episode, but just those moments by seeing what was going on with from his body, and just how it was becoming more insect-like, and just shifting and morphing it just it kind of it had it by way of how the animation was done in this episode on from Giovanni, it created this more unsettling creep factor to him as a character. Of course, we also get a pretty obvious fact confirmed at this point, which is that the bugs used to create infernals came from Adola, but now with the added knowledge of what Giovanni has done to his body, and used that knowledge to turn himself into that insect monstrosity that he is, in the same way that the Fire Force falling for the trap exposed their overzealous pursuit of the White-Clad, what Giovanni's done to his body also shows just how much the White-Clad have kind of weaponized the Adola, and because of that, it's getting harder to just let the White-Clad be, even if it means falling into their traps. Now, obviously, one thing to bring up with this episode is the fight of Hino and Takagi versus Iron, another member of the Knights of the Purple Smoke. And I'm not going to lie, revisiting this part reminds me of one thing I am not looking forward to when the Bleach anime returns for the final arc, which is how much Iron feels like a series version of Mask the Masculine from Bleach's 1,000-Year Quincy Blood War arc. And to be fair, even though I do take Iron a lot more seriously than Mask, and his iron skin was much more better visualized in the anime, he's still kind of got that same overbloated personality aesthetic that very easily gets very annoying in large doses. So it's like, yeah, it's one of those things where, as weird as a comparison as that is, it makes me, as weird as a comparison as this is, it does make me realize the one part I'm not looking forward to with the Bleach anime's return is Mask the Masculine for sure. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Crunchyroll. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.